I cheated on my husband of 14 years and lost him forever. My husband and I have been together for 16 years and married for 14. We have 2 daughters, ages 13 and 12. About 3 months ago, I cheated on him with my coworker once and immediately regretted it. To be honest, I still haven't figured out the real reason I cheated. On the surface, the reason would be that my husband was too caught up with work for a couple of months and I felt neglected and unappreciated. But I know that isn't the real reason. I'm trying to figure out what it is through individual counseling. I only cheated that one time and immediately told him the next day because I couldn't bottle up my guilt and shame. He was shocked at first, but then went on to call me the most horrid names. I deserved it. I deserved a lot more than that. I don't even know how it got to the point of me sleeping with my co-worker. It started with innocent flirting, and before I knew it, I had made the worst mistake of my life by sleeping with him. I wish I'd gotten hit by a car that day instead. I cut off all contact with my coworker and gave up my phone to my husband. I wanted to reassure him that I was willing to make this work on his terms, whatever they were, as long as he would give me another chance. Even though in my heart I knew that I wanted another chance to prove myself, I told him that I would understand if he went through with a divorce. I told him I would do anything to regain his trust and expressed my sorrow and regret for hurting him so badly. But my husband has always been the type of man who only gives someone one chance. Even with friends, if the trust was broken, there were no second chances. He said he wanted a divorce, but then quarantine happened, so he stayed in the house for about 2 months and didn't proceed with the divorce right away. For the first month, he treated me very coldly. The only time we talked was when it had to do with our daughters. I slept on the couch and tried to give him as much space as he needed. I reminded him from time to time that if he ever wanted to work things out, I'd be more than willing to and would be completely devoted to the process. He said spiteful things during that time and distanced himself completely. During the second month, there was a change. He began talking to me again. We talked about daily stuff and even watched movies together with the girls as a family. I felt like he wanted to try reconciling, and I was so happy. I was thrilled that there might be a chance to save my family, to save us. Over the next few days, it felt like we were becoming friends again. He even invited me back into the bed. It was working. I reminded him that he could talk to me about anything. A couple of weeks passed, and we were getting along better than we had in months. We were spending time as a family again and getting closer with each other. I felt really good about the way things were going, but now I wish I'd suggested marriage counseling. I didn't want to pressure him or make him think I was trying to sweep everything under the rug. One night, we were drinking a bit and just talking in our bedroom. I felt a genuine connection rebuilding. It felt like we were falling for each other all over again, and it made me so happy. This is the part I regret now. I decided to make a move on him and straddled him while we were laughing at a joke. We looked at each other, and so naturally I began making out with him. It honestly felt like we were 20 again. He kissed me back at first, but then he started crying. He told me to stop and said that he couldn't. My heart broke right there. I could see exactly how deeply my stupid decision had hurt him. I told him I was sorry and we went to sleep. The reason I regret this is because I think that moment pushed him away forever. 2 days later, he told me he wanted to go through with a divorce. He said he just didn't think he could make it work, even after trying for the last 2 months. I wanted to fight for us, but I just told him I understood. We had already decided before that if a divorce happened, it would be on fair terms. Sure, we both have lawyers, but we agreed on a lot of things together. He wanted to take a 2-week trip and then come back to pick up the girls. After that, we agreed they would spend half the week with him and half with me. I even helped him pack his stuff. When we finished, I broke down crying and we hugged. After his trip, he came back. It felt good to see him again. But I knew it wasn't the same. We smiled, made small talk, and then he took the girls. Today, I got served divorce papers. It hurts so much to know I lost my best friend because I was stupid. Sometimes I roll over to his side of the bed in the morning, and I hate how I don't feel his body there anymore. I miss his smell, his smile, his voice. I miss him filling the whole room with his loud, adorable laugh. I miss him so much. The part that hurts me the most is knowing how badly I hurt the person I love the most. I wish I could go back in time and undo what I did, but I can't. So now here I am, writing about it on Reddit, crying when there's nothing I can do. I wish he could see what I genuinely feel in my heart, that I am so sorry, and that I would be the most devoted wife if he just gave me another chance. That I love him, and that I would literally do anything for him. I effed up the most perfect thing that ever happened to me. I wish I could get him back, but I know I lost him forever. I was cheated on about a year ago and it's easily the crappiest feeling I've ever felt, because I loved her so much and it was just the ultimate betrayal. It's a huge combination of anger and sadness. It's the worst because the person you're supposed to trust and count on the most screwed you over. You can say you feel terrible all you want, but that act of betrayal says a lot about the person as well. Actions will always speak louder than words. I'm not saying you're a bad person, but the level of anger and betrayal your husband feels will take a long time to go away. He may never be the same towards you again. That's why being unfaithful is the ultimate terrible thing to do to a spouse. I feel bad for your kids as well, because they will pay a price for something their mother did. I feel bad for your husband because I know how awful he must be feeling. I'm still getting over my loved one screwing me over. It's permanently scarring, and what you did was all about you and no one else. You're absolutely right. What I did was horrible and nothing could ever justify it. I just wish I hadn't destroyed my family and lost my best friend. It was selfish, and that's why I'm going to counseling, to see what inside of me is wrong. It might not mean anything at all coming from a person like me, but I'm truly sorry about what you went through. The part where you mentioned him crying. I felt that. My ex cheated on me too, and I tried to be normal around him. One day he tried making out with me after weeks of not being affectionate, and I just burst into tears. My mind was trying to enjoy it, but physically I had no butterflies and no sparks running through my body. I felt numb. It's devastating. You have an emptiness in your stomach. Your husband will forever wonder what it was about him that made you make that decision. I'm sorry for your family to be broken up by such a selfish and impulsive choice. I hope you find healing and answers. My wife cheated on me with her female friend a couple of years ago. I was out of the country on a work trip at the time. It was the worst feeling ever because I couldn't come home. We are still together, but I'm still struggling with forgiveness. I'm not sure it will work out in the end, but every day it gets a tiny bit better. As someone who has cheated, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what you're going through, and I don't know if it means anything to you. I will never feel what you're feeling, but I hope that whatever you decide to do, you do what is best for you. Very sad story. I'm a little older than your husband and went through the same thing. Us men are supposed to always be strong, but when this hits us out of the blue, completely unexpected, it guts a man to the core, myself included. I really don't think women realize how fragile a man is under these circumstances. I think women handle this much better than men do. Your minds handle this pressure better. 99% of the time, when a wife cheats, I hate them to my core. I get very upset. Your story was different, but I still would have reacted the same as your husband. Still, you had the guilt that 99% of cheating wives don't. You really do love your husband more than anything. I don't hate you, I feel your pain through your words. 99% of the stories I read, I'd say, leave her. But if your husband is reading any post, I'd tell him, your story is different, not the same old cheating where the wife only gets upset when she gets caught. As an older friend or older brother, I would tell him, she made a huge mistake, knew it right away, and told you because of guilt. That is not what most do. Give her that second chance. I can tell by her story, she won't let you and your kids down. On to the next story. Update: I screwed over my cheating husband. Original post. My ex-husband cheated on me with everyone. Literally everyone. It started with our neighbor, yeah, awkward as hell. He cheated on me with his co-worker. He cheated on me with women from social media. Women from bars and clubs. I only knew because I checked his phone. He was a good liar. If I hadn't checked, I wouldn't have known any of this. I did confront him. He apologized, but he said he's a man and he's wired to look at other women and that it's in his nature to cheat. He told me he wanted me as his wife because he loved me, but that he needed more than one woman sexually. I always knew that mindset was bullcrap. But I needed my ex-husband, so I said, okay, just don't throw it in my face. I don't want to see it. I don't want to know about it. I don't want your girlfriends coming up to me. And don't mess with anyone I know, friends or family. I know staying and planning an escape isn't what people on Reddit usually recommend. I've been an active member here for 7 years. I never posted about my marriage until now because I knew everyone would just tell me to pack a suitcase and leave. But that's easier said than done. I wasn't trying to be homeless or in an even worse situation. I was thinking about shelter and financial security. I had small children. I wasn't going to risk seeing them only half the time. I didn't have enough money of my own to make it on my own, and child support back then wouldn't have been enough, especially when he wasn't making that much money yet. If we divorced early, I would have been screwed. We weren't even married long, we were stuck in an apartment lease, and we didn't have any property. I even talked to an attorney, but custody would have been split, and financially I couldn't afford to leave. I've never been a forgiving person. I'm a resentful woman. I'll screw you over worse than you screwed me. It might be slower, but it will sting harder. I hate him, and I hope he sees this post. He's always on this sub. That's how I knew about it. He used to read me people's confessions on here. Well, now here's one written about him. What a terrible man he is. I stayed with my ex-husband for 12 years. I left when I was ready. During the marriage, he paid for my esthetician schooling. I already had a useless degree that didn't help me in life, so I used him to cover the training. I became a medical esthetician, and now I'm financially stable without him. I wasn't a stay-at-home mom, I worked, but I wasn't advancing in my job. He also paid off my medical debt and student loans. Eventually, we bought a house together, we split and sold it in the divorce. When we first got married, I didn't even have my own car. I do now, and he paid it off too. I'm glad I waited to leave. Now, I'll eventually receive part of his Social Security and a portion of his $401,000. I received half of the marital funds, mostly his income. He has to pay alimony due to the income disparity and length of the marriage. It's not long-term alimony, but it's enough. My kids are older now, my eldest has moved out, and my youngest is about to graduate high school. I just turned 40. It's been a year since my divorce was finalized. My friends sometimes ask if I think I wasted my life. I can confidently say no. They probably think I wasted my youth being married and having kids. But I'll never regret my kids. Even if I divorced him earlier, I would still have struggled as a single mom, maybe even worse. Instead, I used that time to build myself up. I focused on my career. I became more motivated after he cheated. I still lived my life, even while married to an idiot. I had casual sex here and there too, he never knew. It would have crushed him and he would have filed for divorce if he'd found out, but he wasn't smart enough to check my phone. I took precautions. I got more from waiting to divorce him when I was ready than I would have gotten if I'd left with no plan. I'm in a better place mentally and financially. He even ended up paying for my therapy, which I wouldn't have been able to do on my own. I started dating again after my divorce. I found love again. My new partner knows I just got out of a marriage, and it's getting serious. But I've told him I don't want to get married again. I can't risk going through all of this again. I could never risk losing what I've just gained. I hope my boyfriend accepts that I'm happy with a long-term relationship without cohabitation or remarriage. That's enough for me. If you read this far, thank you for listening. I hope everyone here has a great Thursday. Reading the top comments before the update. I hate to admit it, but I've always admired people who can plan ahead like you did. Was it hard to wait? It was hard in some ways, but I always knew it was temporary. My ex-husband eventually getting a better paying job helped a lot. In some ways, money bought my happiness. I would stay on top of my goals. I made appointments with attorneys now and then to talk about my goals and how much closer I was getting, and it always made me feel better. I kept myself busy. It also helped that my ex traveled for work, so I had a lot of peaceful days out of the month. I always advise those who prefer divorce to plan their exit strategy. You are indeed a perfect example of why I make such a recommendation. And with respect to your present dating situation, keep in mind that prenuptial agreements and other strategic techniques are available to ensure the segregation of your premarital property in the event you ultimately retry marriage. But I clearly agree that now would be way too soon. Thank God you were able to avoid STDs with your abhorrent ex-husband. Good luck going forward. Good for you. I'm glad you're happy now. How did your ex take it when you filed for divorce? How's he doing now? For some reason, he thought it was out of nowhere. Like, he genuinely felt blindsided. He thought I wanted a divorce because he got rid of my senior dogs. My husband couldn't stand them anymore. My 2 senior dogs had urinary incontinence and peed in the house too much. That was his biggest tick. He rehomed them to an older couple. It broke my heart. But I know they lived happier last years with people who were patient and compassionate, instead of with my husband who would yell at them. Anyway, that's not why I left him, though I hated him even more for how he treated them. He was like, "Really? That was so long ago." And I'm like, "Ugh, yeah, you cheated on me more than I could keep track of." He asked why now, why it didn't make sense. I told him exactly why I waited. He called me a bitter gold digger, lol. Update. Wow, thanks to the power of Reddit, my ex-husband did see my post. It went viral, and since he used to read me other people's confessions on here when we were married, I know he saw it. He probably saved my post, so he knows my username now. He's probably going to Reddit stalk me, which is why I'm glad I made a burner account for this. In my original post, I mentioned cheating back on him, and he called me a whore for that. The part that bothered him the most was me revealing I cheated. My ex doesn't believe women are able to cheat due to biological makeup. According to him, men are attracted to everything and can have emotionless sex. He always compared it to pissing in a urinal, the woman being the urinal. Meanwhile, he said sex is everything to women, always emotional. He'd say, that's why men are respected when people see a bunch of girls around him, but when a woman has a bunch of guys around her, everyone's like ew, she's a hoe. If you're reading this one, you probably are, you suck. Good night everybody, smile. Edit. Thank you, Reddit, for letting me vent. I'm deleting this account now that I've said what I needed to say. I'm glad I was able to tell my story. God bless.